Hello everyone. In this video, we'll be going over different data types of Python, such as lists, tuples, sets, and dictionaries. In the previous video, we went over basic concepts that are mandated to get started with Python, such as print formatting, index slicing. I also introduced lists a little bit, but I didn't go over into the details of lists that much. We did go over nested lists, but we did not go over some of the operations that can be performed on lists. And yes, in this video we'll be focusing on the 4 different data types of Python, and we will also be looking over conditional operations such as the if statement, if else statement, and a bunch of other handy stuff as well. So without wasting any time, let's get started. Now, as you guys already know, if you guys watched the previous video, I went over some details of list. For example, we know a list is a bunch of characters, a bunch of values that are contained inside of square brackets separated by commas. So let's say 1 2 3 4, and I call this list 1. So this is list 1 right here. Now if I want to access any value, or I want to pick any value out from this list, I can do index slicing. Oops, sorry, it's list 1, and I can easily pick any value from inside of this list. We also went over nested list operations. So nested list is nothing but a list inside of a list. So 1 2 3 4, and the fifth, you can say, and the fifth value can be a list itself. So yeah, like this. So if I say list 1, I want to pick this value over here from list 1. So this is, as you all guys already know, indexing starts from 0 0 1 2 3 4. This is the fourth element. This is the fourth index from this list. So if I say list 1, I want to see the fourth index. It's 1 2 3, this element right here, and I want to see I now pick number 3 from this. So it's the indexing starts from 0 0 1 2. I'll say I want to pick, yeah. So basically this whole operation is basically telling us that from list 1, pick the fourth element, which is this, and from that fourth element pick the second index element, which happens to be number 3, and this is how we get number 3. But we already went over this operation in the previous video. So yeah, lists can contain strings, they can contain nested lists, they can contain integers, floats, any Python element that is possible. So moving forward, I would like to go over some operations that are very necessary when it comes to working with lists. For example, let's say I have list 1. Let's define a new list. Let's say it's same 1 2 3 4. I have a list by the name of list 2. It has 4 elements, 1 2 3 4. I want to add another element. I can do that by using the operation append. So what append does is that it enters an element to the end of the list. So I want to enter, let's say, 890. I want to add a new value of 890 into my list. And what do I get if I run this? Okay, I think I misspelled it. Yes. List 2 is 1 2 3 4. I added a value of 890 by using the append command, and I get a new list 2, which is 1 2 3 4, and the fifth, you can say, or the fourth index or the fifth value is 890. So 0 1 2 3 4. The fourth index now has 890. So the append command adds a new value at the end of the list that we are working with. So that's pretty much for the append command. The other command that I would like to go over is the copy command. So what the copy command does is that it creates a copy of that list. So let's say I have a list by the name of list 3, and it's basically nothing. Like list 3 is not defined. It's nothing. So I want list 3 to be a copy of list 2. So how do I do that? I say list 2.copy. List 2. And now if I were to run this cell, I will see that list 3 has the same values as list 2. So copy basically creates a copy of that particular list that we're working with. That's for the copy command. The other command that I would like to go over is the count command. So for example, I have a list which has values 1 2 3 3, 4, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. So I have this list by the name of sample. It has a bunch of values and a lot of these values are duplicates. As you can see, there are multiple duplicates for 3 and for 5. I want to see how many times the number 5 or the character 5 appear inside of this list, and I can find that out using the count command. So for example, if I were to say sample.count, I will pass in the character that I want to see is that I want to find the number of times that it's appearing inside of the list, for example 5, and I get 4. So basically 5 is appearing 4 times inside of our list. If I do 3, I'll get 2 because 3 is appearing 2 times. It's appearing 2 times inside of our list. So yeah, the count command basically tells us how many times a specific character is appearing inside of a list. How many duplicates does it have inside of the list? So moving forward, another command that I'd like to go over is the len or len command. So len command or len is basically it's shortened for length. Tells us how many characters or how many numbers are there inside of our list. So I've say sample. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, so it has 9 characters. But I don't want to count. So yes, the len or len command tells us how many elements, how many characters, how many elements are inside of our list. So we can use the len command for that. Very handy, very useful. It's used from my experience. The len command is extremely handy and it's used a lot, especially if you're working with if and else if statements. So the other two commands, the last two commands that I would like to go over, which I believe are extremely important, are the pop command and the other is the insert command. So what the pop command does is that pop 4, okay, sample. So what the pop command does is that you enter or you specify the element that you would like to remove, and it removes that it removes that index. So for example, and let me just repeat this one more time. Let me say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6. I have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope. So let's say I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7 elements inside of my sample list, and I would like to remove, let's say, the number 2 element from here. And I can do that using the pop command. So if I say sample dot pop, and this is obviously at index 1, and if I were to run this cell, I'll get 1, 1, 3, 3, 5, 5, 5. So the pop command does nothing more than remove that particular element for that index. And if I were to repeat this multiple times, as you can see, the values are being removed. So yeah, that's pretty much it. The pop command removes the value for that particular index. So moving forward, these are pretty much all the important elements, all the important commands when it comes to list. I'll leave a link to a very good website by the name of W3 Schools. They have all of these commands listed with examples that you can work on and get yourself comfortable with. But yeah, these are all of these commands, very handy, very useful to know. And yes, so moving forward, let's go and work with dictionaries. So what is a dictionary basically? When we were talking about lists are values that are contained inside of square brackets, and we can access them using index notation. But the thing about dictionaries is that, let's say I have a dictionary by the name of, let's just call it D1. Dictionaries are values inside of curly brackets, but the thing is that we can't access them using index notation. We use key value pairs for them. So let's say name, and those key value pairs are then defined using a colon. Name is Moeed, and I will probably make this a string as well. And then these key value pairs with their assigned values are separated by commas. Age 26. This is our dictionary right here. But the thing is that if I want to access this name value and this age value over here, I can't use index notation. It will give me a key error. Index notation does not work on dictionaries. It just does not happen. How do I access them? I access them using the key value pair that I've already defined. So for Moeed, for this name over here, name is the key. For 26, age is the key. So if I were to access it, I'd get name. Similarly, if I say age, I'll get 26. So in dictionaries, you tend to work with key value pairs. You do not use index slicing, index notation. That doesn't work on dictionaries. The other important thing about dictionaries is that dictionaries do not accept duplicates. Like in our previous example, lists, as you can see, have duplicates, not so much with dictionaries. Dictionaries don't tend to work with duplicates, and I will go over an example in which I show you guys. Okay, so we already defined the name key value pair, the age key value pair. Let's say we defined a name key value pair again, and I give it a value of, let's say, Ali. So name, this key value pair name is appearing twice. But if I run this, I get name only once. So the first key value pair, which was name Moeed, has been dropped. So what this basically tells us is that dictionaries do not work with duplicates. They only work with unique values, and they do not work with index slicing, index notation also. So yes, that's pretty much it for dictionaries. We'll be going over dictionaries in a whole lot of detail moving forward in the lecture. The other data type that I would like to go over are tuples. So what are tuples? Tuples are very much similar to lists in the way they're presented. So for example, if I say TUP is equal to, but the thing is that instead of square brackets, they are values inside of parentheses. So I say 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a tuple. That's a tuple right there. But the problem is, or the thing is with tuples, is that we cannot add, we cannot remove, we cannot change it. It's unchangeable. Tuples are remain the way they are. We cannot add any sort of, they can have duplicates, but they're immutable. Yeah, they're immutable. Append or all of those commands for lists such as pop, those commands cannot work with tuples. So yeah, that is an extremely important point. But we can access these values if you want. We can use index notation to access any value inside of a tuple. But just remember that once a tuple has been made, it's been made. We cannot play around with it. We cannot change the number of values inside of a tuple. We cannot add, we cannot append, we cannot remove. That's a very important point when it comes to tuple. The last data type that I would like to go over are sets. So what is basically a set? Okay, I haven't defined it. Let's say sets are values, or you can say elements, just like lists, but inside of curly brackets. Dictionaries are also values inside of curly brackets, but the thing is that they have key value pairs for them, not so much for sets. So if I were to show you guys a list, the major difference between and a tuple as well. Let's say I have a, the thing about tuples is that they are inside of parentheses, sets are inside of curly brackets, and lists are inside of square brackets. The bracket selection is what differentiates all of them. So for sets, what are their unique properties? Well, the thing is that sets always have unique values. They can never have duplicates. That's the biggest thing. So for example, I were to define a set 1 again. Let's define set 1 again. And I say 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4. And if I were to run this and see values for set 1, I only get the unique values. I only get unique values from this for the values that I entered. And let's say I define a list 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3. I can use this list operation, this set operation, to remove all duplicates. So basically, sets, you can say, are used to remove duplicates, if that makes sense. List 1. I would like to print this to see this value. What do I get? I only get the unique values. Yes, so set basically removes all duplicates um, from a list, and that's pretty much it. That is how you work with sets. So we have gone over these 4 data types. I'll leave links in the description from where you guys can go and practice. And I'll probably make a video in which there will be a bunch of practice exercises as well, where you guys can get some useful hands-on useful hands-on experience when it comes to working with data types. But that is obviously for another time. So moving forward, now that we have gone over data types, I would like to go over comparison operators. So what are comparison operators? What are their what are they used for, and how what's the Python notation for comparison operators? So comparison operators, as the name suggests, is, for example, 1 is equal to 1. So that's true. That is absolutely true. 1 is equal to 1. Is 1 greater than 1? No, it's not. So all of these, you can say that the double equal to sign represents comparison. Is 1 equal to 1? Yeah, that's true. Is 1 greater than 1? No, it's not. Is 1 greater than or equal to 1? Well, apparently it's not greater than 1, but it is equal to. Is 1 less than or equal to 1? Yeah. 1 is not less than obviously 1, but it's equal to. So this is the notation for greater than equal to. This is the sign for less than equal to. This is for greater than. Obviously the opposite will be for less than. And the other is 1 not equals to. So this exclamation mark with equal to sign represents not equals to. Is 1 not equal to 1? False. That is incorrect. So these are the 4 comparison operators. Well, not 4 actually. I believe that there are 5, but double equal to represents equal to, equality. This symbol is used for greater than equal to, less than equal to, not equal to. Exclamation mark with the equal to sign represents not equal to. Remember, in Python, double equals to is used for comparison. We cannot say 1 is equal to 1. That probably give us an error, because single equal to signs is used to assign values. It's used for variable assignment. It's not used for comparison. This is not a comparison operator. So moving forward, the other thing I would like to go over is, for example, let's say we would like to use multiple comparison operators at the same time. So for example, how would I say 1 is greater than 1 or 1 is greater than 4? Multiple conditions at the same time. So let's say I want to say 1 is greater than 3, which is obviously false, or 1 greater than 0. This OR over here is playing a very important role. So OR is implying 2 conditions at the same time. It's referring 2 conditions at the same time. It's saying is if 1 is greater than 3, or whether 1 is greater than 0. If any of these conditions is true, it will give us a true value. So in this case we get true, because even though this condition is false, this condition over here is right. 1 is greater than 0, and that's why it gives us true. So OR is one of those conditional operators that are used to join multiple comparison operators, and it's used for a bunch of other stuff as well. I'll go over those in the coming lectures. Let's say I want to imply a condition. I want to use a condition where all of the conditions have to be met. If one condition is wrong, then we'll get a false. If all of them are right, only then we'll get a true. So what do I mean by that? Let's say 1 is greater than 3 and 1 is greater than 0. The thing is that when you talk about AND operator, the AND operator makes sure that all the conditions that we have in our statement, they have to be right. If even one statement is wrong, the entire our entire code will return false. So we get a false over here. These are the same statements, but the difference is we get or AND. So let's insert a cell below, and we can even combine all of these conditional operators together. So for example, 1 is greater than 0, or 1 is greater than 3, or you can say or 1 is greater than 9. I'll get it true. So multiple conditional operators with multiple comparison operators. If I were to say 1 is greater than 0, or 1 is greater than 3 and 1 is greater than 4. Insert cell below. So what happens over here is that this statement is compared with this statement right over here. So 1 is greater than 0. So why is this true? The thing is that first this statement is looked over. Obviously this is a false because 1 is not greater than 3, and the resulting value is then compared with this statement over here. So first the AND operator is looked over, and then the OR operator is looked over. It's basically order of importance. The AND is the OR is given more importance than the AND statement. So first we get the results of AND, then we get the results of OR. And we can, to even clear it up, we can even have our comparison operators inside of parentheses. So let's say 1 greater than 3 and 2 greater than 4, or 3 greater than 6. Yeah. So basically false, false, false. If I say 7, I get a true. So yeah, first this statement is solved and we get a false over here, but we have an OR statement over here, so this statement is true because 7 greater than 6, so we get a true. So yeah, first the AND statement is looked over, and after the AND comparison has been solved, then does Python move over to the OR statement. This is the order of operations. Okay, so now I'd like to go over one of the most important one of the most important parts of Python, the conditional operators using the if statement, the else statement, and the elif statement. So if is a conditional operator. So basically, as the name suggests, if something happens, then do this. If not, then do that. And what do I mean by that? For example, if I were to write out if 2 is greater than 3, print all good. So if statement is a conditional operator which says that if a certain, it's basic English, if a certain condition is true, if it works, then execute a particular set of commands, else forget it. So for example, and I'd like to go over this in a bit of detail. So first I write if, I specify my condition 2 is greater than 3, and I put colon signs, and when I press enter, Python automatically gives me this indentation space. So in languages such as JavaScript, we have those curly brackets, but in Python, Python works with white indentation space, and you don't need to worry about giving that indentation space yourself. Modern IDEs such as PyCharm and JavaScript, Python, PyCharm, Visual Studio, Spider, they do it for you. So even Jupyter Notebook, it gave me that indentation space itself when I pressed enter. So if I specified my condition, so if 2 is greater than 3, now what will be the result if this particular statement is true? I would like to say print statement true. If 2 is greater than 3, print statement. But if the statement is not true, like if the condition is not true, then what? Then I'll specify else. Like what is Python supposed to do if your condition is not true? I'll tell Python that, okay, if the condition is not true, then do this, print statement not true. And when I run this, run these 3 to 4 lines over here, I get the result statement not true. Why? Because this condition is not true. This condition is absolutely not true. 2 is not greater than 3. It skips the statement. It goes over to the next line, which gives it another operation that, okay, the first statement is not true. Go over and run this line. But another important, command like the if is the elif command. So elif basically implies multiple if conditions. So let's say if 4 greater than 5, print all good. But if it's not true, I can specify another if statement, else if 4 greater than 3, print true. Else print, sorry, I ran that statement, nothing is correct. So in this case we get true. And why do we get true? The first command is run, if 4 is greater than 5, that's not true. So Python will move over to the next line. Else if 4 is greater than 3, that is true. So print true. So this entire, this line will be executed and the code will, it won't run any further. That's pretty much it. The execution process will stop. But let's say I enter 4 greater than 8. Now I get nothing is correct. Why? This statement is run. It's false. 4 is not greater than 5. Python will move over to the next set of code, the next set of lines. If this is another if statement, 4 is greater than 8, that's not true, that's wrong. Python will ignore this, ignore to run this line of code over here. It will move over to the next line, the else command, and it will run this line over here, else print nothing is correct, and I get nothing is correct. So this is how Python works. So yeah, I mean, in this video I went over sets, I went over tuples, I went over dictionaries, I went over some operations when it comes to lists, but obviously and I went over comparison operators and conditional operators as well. But the thing is that you guys need to practice, you guys need to put in the time in order to really get your command on Python. Feel free to leave comments and do let me know how I can improve improve this video making process of mine. How can I, what do I need to improve on, what do I need to work on? If you guys like this video, if you guys enjoy the content that I'm making, please feel free to give me a like, share this video with your friends. Do give me a like, for that helps me out a lot. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll see you guys in the next video, in which I'll be going over the while loop, the for loop, and other important operators of Python. Thank you.